Grant, good to have you on here, sir. Thank you very much for joining me today. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, now just jumping way back here. Why did you choose to pick up the drums?
Why the drums? Well, the first thing is I took piano lessons.
Mm,
Um, and this was like when I was in third or fourth grade, I guess. And I didn't really like piano lessons that much. I wanted to play the drums. My mom has a musical background. She's like a classical choral singer, and she wanted me to do some type of instrument, and I really wanted to do the drums. I guess because I thought they just looked really cool. I mean, there's like so much cool stuff to look at with the drums. You got the hi hat, you got all these pedals. Um, they're shiny. I saw the some people in the band, school band, when I was in elementary school, did like a Disney um, medley of songs where they did like like the Aladdin song and like all these things that were like I loved at that moment. I saw the drummer just playing through all these different things, and I was like, man, that's what I want to do. So I guess that's kind of how it started.
have you thought about what it might have been like if you did stick with piano? Has it ever come to mind that if the drums never came in?
Yeah, I have wondered about that. I was also kind of interested in bass. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I've wondered more what it would be like if I played like a horn,
Hmm.
because horn players, it's so easy to sit in if you're a horn player. You show
Right.
up, you show up to the gig, you got your horn, around your over your shoulder or whatever. Everyone knows that you're a musician right away. And then you're just kind of standing side stage like yeah, yeah. So yeah, I've thought about that, but I love drums, man. Like I love I love driving the bus. Because drums really do that. There's so much that in terms of just like the vibe of the song, the dynamics of the song, where you're going, that the drums are really in the driver's seat.
Right. Right.
So I enjoy that part. The loading of all the gear, it's starting to take its toll on me a little bit, and it's gonna take its toll even more as I get older. But we're not worried about that right now.
We're not. That's for the next episode.
Yeah.
Um, did you feel like drumming, or do you feel like drumming comes naturally to you? Is that something that is naturally in you, rhythm?
Yes, yes, I do. I do feel like, um, I grew up tapping on things. I've always kind of had a sense of rhythm, um, but I've also, I'm also very melodic, and I sing a lot to myself. I think a lot about melodies. I think a lot about melodies on the drum set too. Um, but yeah, drumming is definitely something that I feel like, I mean, I wouldn't say it came supernaturally. I had to work at it to get a sound and get feel and all that kind of stuff, and practice the recordings, practice with a metronome, you know. But it wasn't uh it wasn't super hard to like figure out how to groove in the very beginning, I guess.
Hmm. Does music, in a general sense, does that still revolve around percussion for you?
um yeah, I mean, it definitely does. It definitely does, cuz I mean, I feel like a lot of the music that I play and the bands that I'm a part of or the bands that I lead are all involving types of stuff where basically every musician there is almost being like a drummer in a lot of ways, right? So even though the guitar player is playing chords or whatever, it's basically like they're playing the tambourine in a lot of ways rhythmically. Um, you know, um, that's kind of the approach that I take with a lot of people when I'm playing with them, is like that we're all playing percussion, right? We're all playing some kind of interlocking rhythm together. Um, but I also think a lot about like when it comes to writing music, probably the first thing that pops into my mind is bass lines. Um, bass lines are definitely a big thing for me. Even though I'm not a great bass player, but I can clunk them out on the keyboard and make a demo and then show it to a real bass player, and have them run with it. So
Yeah, that's an interesting thought though. Going back to that, everyone's kind of creating their own beat, as it were, on their respective instruments, kind of feeding into the song itself. That's a really interesting way of looking at it, Grant. I don't like my opinion of music being changed on this podcast, so I'm a little bit
well,
furious about it. But you know what? We'll push forward.
what was your opinion?
I wasn't that. No, I no, I do like that idea though. To boil it down to that.
hmm hmm
I'll be thinking about that when I edit this again. I'll go, oh, yeah, Grant said that, and
We're
I'm
all
still
drummers, man. We're all drummers.
we're all drummers.
Yeah.
Um, when you like kind of got interested in other people's music, were you kind of drawn to bands or musicians that had prominent drums within their songs? Was that kind of what you were going towards?
Totally. Yeah. The first one of the first bands that I got really into was Tower Power. Um, and obviously David Garibaldi. Specifically, the first song was Squib Cakes. I think I got the Squib Cakes CD, or not the CD. It's from Back to Oakland, and I got that CD. I think when I was like in sixth grade, and I was just obsessed with Squib Cakes, like obsessed with that song. It really got me into like funk music in general. I went out and bought the um, David Garibaldi Tower of Groove VHS and watched that a ton of times. It also had like the little inserts where it had his beats transcribed and stuff because a lot of those beats are pretty tricky to figure out by ear.
Wow, and they
Um,
they added that to the VHS.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So that was like for sure that was the first thing that really. I mean, I didn't even really know much about what funk music was until I started listening to Tower Power. Um, it wasn't like kind of pushed on me in any way.
Hmm.
It was just something that I just really dug, and I just kind of got deeper from there. Um, but yeah, definitely David Garibaldi. Mike Clark, another big one for me. Um, yeah, those are kind of the two that got me started, I'd say.
Were you kind of forming your own music taste independently, or was there some people showing you, like, oh, hey, if you like this, you should check out that, or was it for the most part on your own?
um, I think, man, it's hard to remember. I know that I had a really awesome band teacher um that was getting me hip to some stuff. Um, I remember him being like, if you like this, you check out Billy Cobham. Um, started listening to like, Spectrum and all that kind of stuff. um, yeah, it was, I mean, it was a little bit different time back then. It wasn't like there wasn't any algorithm to, for me to pick up on. Man, I'm about to turn 40 in like a month, so I'm dating myself here. Um, but yeah, back then it was like I'd go to warehouse music and buy CDs and buy tapes too. I used to buy a lot of tapes, and I get hip to stuff from some of my teachers. I get hip to stuff from other people that I played with. I mean, I was listening. The first band that I played in was a Nirvana cover band, so I was playing a lot of rock and stuff and at a younger age. At the same time that I was really geeking out on like Tower Power stuff. Um, you know, running like listening to Rage Against the Machine super loud in my room and screaming. That whole era. um, yeah, there's a lot of it.
You think those two? I mean, let's use these two people for instance, Tower Power and Nirvana. Do you think that the blending of those two at the same time kind of contributed to what you're producing now?
Yeah, I think so. The Nirvana thing is like, I'd say more like I was more influenced by like a band like Rage Against the Machine probably, um, because that's like the riffs in that band are just so incredibly like, um, they're perfect. Like, um, they're built around these just like incredible riffs. There's definitely like a funkiness to it. There's a pocket to it. Zach De La Rocha's vocals are extremely rhythmic, you know, and that was definitely a huge influence on me. Um, Nirvana, I was totally into, but it was also like that was more like because the guitarist in the school band when I was like in fifth grade knew all the Nirvana songs, and so we got together and jammed, and that's what he knew and that's what we played, and yeah, it was I mean, absolutely I'd say all that stuff has had an effect on me.
Hmm.
Um whether I even know it or not.
Yeah, right. Do you think that if you were coming of age today, do you think that Tower Power and more funky stuff would still tickle your fancy, as it were, in regards to you think you'd still be like, yeah, that's my stuff. I mean, there's all these other things that I can throw in my face, but I'm kind of gravitating towards this still.
Yeah, I think so. I think so because it wasn't like when I was coming of age that music was really popular then necessarily.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
was still picking it up, you know, a few decades after it'd been released. Um, yeah, I think absolutely I would have been drawn to that still. Totally.
And that's just the staying power of a good music's good music, no matter what era you find it in or
Totally.
when it's discovered
Absolutely.
by somebody else. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and when it's also like, you know, I had some good teachers early on. That's another reason that I stuck with drums is because I had a really great teacher from right when I started when I was in fourth grade um that I just loved, and he inspired the shit out of me. And sorry, I don't know if I should have said that. He inspired me.
Hey, you can say whatever the heck you want, Grant. This is your episode, man. You take us wherever we need to go, sir. Please.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think if it was if everything else was the same, I still had the same people, kind of mentoring me. Yeah, I think it would have been. I think I would have come across it, and it's probably would have been similar. But
Hmm.
who knows, man? I mean, I saw that movie, The Butterfly Effect. Like it's
That was a
nuts out. Yeah,
trippy one.
you never know.
That was one of those movies that was always on TV for a bit.
Oh,
And
really?
and looking back on it now, it's like, how the heck, why was that syndicated so much? Who was
Mm.
buying that? Talking about like the Sci-Fi Channel was running it quite a bit.
Man, I never saw that on TV. I need to watch that again. That was a
That's
crazy
all.
one.
That's all cable business. We'll get you a Spectrum set up. Going back to drummers that really influenced you and continue to. Do you try to emulate how they play or what they're bringing to the kit for certain songs, or do you try to take pieces of what they have and kind of incorporate it into your own sound? And sort of like, I'll take a little bit of this and put it into here, and kind of going through your own filter.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think any musician that, well, maybe not any musician, but I think we're all really trying to create our own sound, right? Um, that sound is not coming from something 100% original. It's coming from this, like, collage of things that, you've soaked up over the years. Um, but yeah, I think early on, definitely doing more like trying to mimic exactly, how a certain thing was done.
Hmm.
And then the more that I did that with different artists, the more that it kind of just turned into like, it went through the filter of me, and it kind of ended up being my kind of thing, you know?
Right.
Um, and like I feel like that's especially true with feel too, right? Like, like learning how to play, straight 16ths, learning how to swing, and then like really, finding that gray area in between that really feels good to you. Um, and that is, that's the cool thing about live musicians, right? It's like you can really that's something that you can hone over time. Even like the simplest beat ever. You know, you you, you play it for years and years and years, and you can really start to develop like your own feel and sound on the instrument. Um, so yeah, I think that's what I've been going for. I mean, I think that's what every musician really wants, right? It's like to have something that have their own sound. When they play, people are like, that sounds like that guy, or that sounds like that lady, or whatever, right? That
Right.
person.
Right, right, right. Was there a specific point that you found like, okay, I found my sound? Was there delineation?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I'm still searching. you
We're
know
working on it. We're working on it.
yeah. I mean, there's been moments where I've been like, okay, on certain things, or which, yeah, where I've been like, man, I feel like, you know, I really kind of tapped into something on that tune, or you know a specific performance or whatever. But it's a lifelong quest.
Hmm.
It's still happening to this day.
The journey continues.
The journey continues. Yeah.
Was going back to the earlier days of playing Nirvana songs and these sorts of things, uh and moving beyond that point, um was playing with other people a large part of kind of honing in on your own sound and developing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I've I've spent a decent amount of time in the practice room, but I'd say most of my growth has happened playing with people and jamming with people. Um, when I was in college, I the I went to college for music at Cornish College of the Arts in Seattle, and the practice rooms would stay open until midnight each night, and they had like individual practice rooms, but they also had rooms where you could jam with people, and I was doing that for hours and hours every night until it closed. Like I was always jamming with people. I probably could have spent more time individual practicing on certain things. um, and then my chops would probably be, at a different level. But that I also I try to consider myself a musician first before I'm a drummer. You know,
Mm.
and so it's
Hmm.
always been really important to me to, you know, learn how to play with people, learn that how to support people in different ways. Like I was talking about earlier, learn how to, you know, take the wheel and drive the bus when it needs to happen.
Hmm.
Um, so I'd say, yeah, a huge part of my experience and growth has been built around playing with other people. I mean, I used to host a jam session on Sundays for like a few years, or I was in the host band. So lots of that kind of stuff.
Have you been in that scenario of a jam and somebody came up to play and it just tanked the whole vibe and what
Yeah.
was being built? How do
Yes, I
you
have.
how do you maneuver that sort of situation, Grant? How did you push past that?
You mean when someone else is playing drums and it tanked? I
Or
went I went and got a drink.
okay, yeah, yeah.
Or I mean when someone like at a jam session, you know, the thing about jam sessions is like some of the most magical things can happen, and also, some of it's a big spectrum, right? Like crazy stuff can happen at a jam session, you know. Um Also terrible things can happen at jam sessions. That's you get the good with the bad. the best jam sessions are also the ones I feel like that kind of like they start to get a reputation. So you get a lot more good players showing up, and then um, it's kind of it's not just like you sign up on a clipboard and you get to play next. It's more like, hey, so and so's here. It's more it kind of turns into an invite thing or whatever, and there's usually someone that's maybe kind of curating it, you know,
Mm.
and not like they're not letting people in, but you know, it becomes more of a curated type thing, and you know, and then if someone that's like a total beginner, you know, if they have the balls to get in there and do it, you know, hats off to them. You know, like that's also how you learn, right? Like being thrown in the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I haven't been a part of jam sessions as much recently. These are more kind of things that I was much more involved with when I was like in my like in college, just out of college, early 20s, that kind of stuff. But also met a ton of people that way. Um, and every once in a while, I still go and I am the host drummer in one that happens on Mondays at Sea Monster in Seattle. I probably do it, I don't know, once every couple months or so, and it's fun because then I get to meet, you know, like the next, I don't know, the next generation of like young and hungry musicians, you know, that are
Right.
out there like cutting their teeth on it, and you know what they're into and everything. Like I think that's really important too. Not to stay like just in my little bubble.
Going back to both playing with people and playing by yourself, is it important to have both these mindsets of what you bring to the table when performing with other people and what you do while you're practicing by yourself? Is important to have both of these things flourishing at the same time, or at least working on both of them independently?
Yeah, I think so. Um, you mean like yeah, I mean you mean like figuring out what to practice when you're by yourself?
What to practice, or how you're practicing it, or what however you attack that, and both in the setting of a jam, for instance, as well, of like what you're bringing to the table. And do both of these worlds kind of collide at a certain point, or is that the idea? At least it's like, oh, this is what I've been practicing, let me see if I can just throw it in here, or
Yeah,
into a more refined concert setting as well, even just kind of improvising something.
yeah. You know what I try to do is I try to record myself as much as possible,
Hmm.
playing along to things, and then I see what works and I see what doesn't work.
How long
Um,
did it take you to kind of figure out that works and that doesn't work, or that works here and it wouldn't work in another scenario?
mm, kind of. I don't know. It took a little bit. It took a little bit of time because I feel like when I was younger, um, I did a lot of. Well, like for example, I did a lot of snare drum competitions and stuff like that, and I spent a decent amount of time just working on um, just snare drum chops and like rudiments and stuff like that, and got my hands in like pretty good shape and started applying a lot of these things to the drum set in live situations. And I had like kind of my favorite, you know, things that I was doing, but I would do them at like all different tempos. And I could play them really fast, so I would still be doing them at really fast tempos. And I think that it took me a little while when I was younger to realize that like some of those things, even though you can play them, doesn't mean that they belong at those in those moments at those tempos. That was also before I was recording myself a lot, you know. So like, you know, when you're in a live situation and you're playing something and you know it might feel really good in the moment, um, especially if you're just like, man, my six stroke rolls are just like on fire right now. I can definitely play it at you know at this tempo and have no problem play this fill whatever. Um, but you know you listen back and it's like, oh, well, maybe that was kind of not really like keeping the vibe, and maybe that kind of like killed the feel a little bit. Maybe I'm trying to cram too many notes, in a small space. So that actually was a really like I feel like that was a really important lesson for me to learn, which I didn't really learn until I started gigging a lot with other people, and then when I started also just like listening back to recordings of myself a lot, which I think is one of the best ways to um, to really critique yourself, because I think when you play live, it sounds different, or even just tempos. When you're playing in front of a big crowd of people and you count off a tune, there's a good chance you might be counting it off a lot quicker than it feels like in the moment. And you listen back to the recording and you're like, oh my gosh, wow, that was fast. Didn't feel fast in the moment, but the recording doesn't lie, right?
Do you look at both of these avenues of practicing by yourself, performing with others, as just separated entirely from one another? It's like, this is what I do here and this is what I do here, or does it interweave at a certain point?
Well, hopefully it does. I mean, if you're, I mean, especially if I'm practicing tunes that like I need to learn for a performance, and then at trying to add to my I don't know, if I'm like trying to add to my vocabulary, I always try to make sure that it's something that I really think is going to be useful, that I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
use.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because there's a million things that you could practice, right? There's so many, especially just like technique wise. Like, I could spend, months working on my 1 foot, you know, bass drum roll, which is awesome. And like, I'm not like, is that something that I'm going to use that much? Probably not, though. Like, I try to find the things that, really speak to me, that I think I'm going to be able to, you know, that's going to add to the music, that's going to, I mean, I feel like I'm definitely one of those drummers that like I try to serve the music first as much as possible. I
Mm-hmm.
I focus a lot on feel, and I focus a lot on groove, and I focus a lot on support, and I focus a lot on just like I make music the way that like it I want to play the stuff that I would want to hear, you know.
Yeah. Right.
Um so I don't know if that answered your question at all.
No, I'm thus far very pleased, Grant. You're doing a fantastic job, sir, and I applaud you for that. But what I wanted to ask you is, those things that you try to strive towards nowadays, has it always been the case? Has it always been what you're trying to achieve, or has it changed over time? It's like, oh, maybe these are the things I should be working on, and kind of take these elements out. And is it always changing?
Yeah, I mean, when I was in college, I was obsessed with drum solos, you know. Not anymore, really. That's not, that's just not what that's not what I'm it's not and I will take a drum solo. I like taking drum solos. It's great. I feel like they add a lot to a performance, They're exciting, they're high energy. Um but yeah, the things that I'm thinking about music wise now are and the things that I'm working on now are not the same things that I was working on when I was like 18.
Which is
Um
good, right?
yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. I think so.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
convince you of a certain narrative here, Grant, if you would just work with me. Was there a specific point when you knew music was going to be a large part of your life moving forward?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you, sir. We got one on the board. Only took about 30 minutes, but we're here.
Well, yeah. When? when did I? Hmm. I mean, I think I knew it pretty early on because it was just always one of those things. Like, I mean, it's what I at school. It's what I love to do more than anything. Um, I felt like, you know, um, band performances were like some of my favorite moments in high school. And there's a lot of moments in high school that I didn't love.
Let's get
um,
into that a little bit, Grant. What do you?
yeah, but and it's not like, I don't know. It's not to say that I like that it all came easy to me. It didn't. I had to like work for it, but it did feel like something that was just like, oh, okay, like this is something that I can do. This is something that I want to do. And like I I think I knew pretty early on that like music was going to be a big part of my life. I didn't really know that I was going to go full on into the world of music as a profession. That always kind of scared me a little bit because I was like, how am I going to support myself? Like all those things. Um, that didn't happen until like, yeah, probably my second year of college when I transferred and decided to go all in with music. Um, but yeah, I think I always knew that it was going to be something that was, really important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from the the beginning, I'd say.
When you figured out that it was going to be a profession for you, as well as a love, but you're going to kind of make that transition, was there specific goals that you wanted to accomplish when making that choice?
um, I wanted to, I wanted to, at- in the beginning, I wanted to travel the world through music. That was kind of like my first goal. Um, and then that changed to more like I want to write more music. And that was more like, I want like when I'm gone, like I want, my son and my grandkids and whatever to like see this like, this I mean it's it's really gratifying to make something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you build a house. I've never built a house before, but I can imagine that would be a like very gratifying like feeling, right? It's like I made that, right? Like I'm a craftsman. I did this whole thing from the beginning to the end. I feel the same way about making records. And that's like what really does it for me now, you know. The performance part of it I love too, and I love traveling. I'm not quite as like gung ho to be on the road as like I was when I was younger. Um, but I have gotten to see a lot of cool places, that I would have never gotten to see if it wasn't for music. But I'd say that now, what really makes me, the gratification that I get is from creating and making records. Like I really love that part.
I like it. I like it so far, Grant. I might not like this next one, but we'll see. Um, you've been playing in Polyrhythmics since 2010, right?
Yes.
Wow. And yourself and Ben Bloom, right? Started that?
Yeah, yeah. So me and Ben, I was also playing with the bass player Jason Gray at the time, and I was talking to Jason about how like how much I really kind of wanted to start like a large ensemble. Um, and Ben was a guitarist in town that I didn't really know personally, but I knew from some other bands that he played in, and I just called him up. I got his number from somebody, and I called him up, and yeah, I just kind of like cold called him and was like, "Hey, man, like I've been really interested in trying to do something like this and this and this, and I got this homie Jason Gray who's also really into it, and he was, um, it was interesting. He was like, dude, that's so crazy. I was just talking about this to my girlfriend like the other night, how I wanted to do this like same thing, and we just had this long conversation where we started talking about like our different influences and stuff, and that's how that started. And the three of us, me, Jason, and Ben, just kind of started getting together and just playing, writing, writing grooves, and then you know we all kind of knew different people that we brought in one by one. Um, like he knew Nathan Spicer, who we brought out on keyboards. I knew Scott Morning, trumpet player, and then they knew like some other horn players, and it all kind of started just as a recording project. So we all that's how that whole thing kind of came together. We made a record, started playing some shows around town, and there was a good response to the shows. So I don't think we really had a end goal necessarily of where that band was going to go in the beginning, other than that really we wanted to make a record. Um, and that's kind of always how that band. I mean, the band has always been based around records. I mean, we've put out like, man, I should know this, but I think our eighth record is coming up.
Yeah, so just getting started. I understand.
Yeah, lots of that. Um, and yeah, and then also that yeah that from there, Ben definitely, um, Ben's a real go getter and has you know taken a position in that group, a leadership position in that group that has really um, allowed that band to do a lot of cool things over the
Mhm.
last 16 years, I guess it is now.
Yeah, what has it been like working with this group of people and Ben for this amount of time? And
It's
does
been
it feel like 16 years with the same, you know, group?
yeah, like it's been great. Like it's amazing that we've been or um that we've been around this long. Just because you know it's a lot of members. It's a lot of different personality types. Um, but somehow we've kept it going, and it's been really great. It's been awesome. There's also been a lot of kind of spin-offs from that group that have been created. But like the core group, like I feel like I'm gonna play music with those guys. I don't see it stopping anytime soon. I'm gonna play music with those guys for a long time. And I feel really lucky because I don't feel like everyone really, you know, I don't know that every musician really gets to experience that, with people where they really like, you know, are like it's like their brothers. Um, so I don't take it for granted.
On that note, maybe ZZ Top, maybe,
Yeah, totally.
perhaps.
Right. I'm still working on my ZZ Top beard.
No, it's going good. I like it so far.
It's gonna turn white eventually. I think. I heard that's what happens to red beards is when you get old they turn white, not gray.
Is that right?
That's what somebody told me. So that means I'm gonna look literally like Santa Claus one of these days.
But I mean, do you trust that person who told you that is really what I'm getting down to?
Um, I don't know, man. I haven't fact checked it.
I like it that we're just putting it out there. We don't Google in this podcast. We just gonna let
No.
it slide.
And
Are you
I feel like we're at a point right now where like we need to trust the people in their area of expertise, right? Everyone thinks they're an expert on everything these days, you know. I'm gonna trust the hairdresser about the hair thing, you know. I'm gonna stay in my lane, you know. She has a question about music, you know, about drumming. Maybe she'll trust me, you know, with that answer. You know, we don't have to take this into politics, which I know that's where it's going, but right, we're not gonna go there.
Join us on Patreon. What would you say is the key to longevity for a band? If you could surmise that with an answer. I know it's kind of a big question and it's circumstantial, obviously, but if for you
Mm, the key to longevity, um,
or for a
pro-
hairdresser, if you have that
probably
as well.
gigs. As soon as you don't have any more gigs, the band is not a thing. I don't think, right?
Well, okay, but what about Steely Dan, right? They like stopped playing live, but then they put out a bunch of or more albums. I might have that wrong,
Right.
but well, how do you feel about that? Do you still look at that as a band
Well, Steely
or
Dan is more like two guys, right?
mhm,
Or was two guys.
yes,
Um,
which we don't have the names of, but yes, that was it's two
uh,
guys.
Walter Becker and
You got a guy googling for you over there, Grant.
no,
Jeez, off the dome.
Walter Becker's the guy that just died. I know the name of the other guy that
I
sings and
trust you.
plays keys.
I do trust you, Grant. Anyways, those two guys, yeah.
Yes, yes. What was the question again?
Well, do you consider like a band that was playing a lot of gigs and putting out a lot of albums like Steely Dan, or putting out albums like Steely Dan, and then kind of taking a step back from touring and just releasing albums? Do you still look at that as a band,
um,
or kind of maybe a different kind of band?
yeah, I think they're definitely a band. That's a different kind of band than us. Or
Hmm.
like if you're asking about Polyrhythmics, for example. Um,
No, I want
because
you to speak on everybody's behalf right now, Grant. I'm really you are the expert.
well,
I'm using your thing against you. If
right.
your hairdresser was here, I would say, what kind of dye should everybody have? You know, these are blanket statements. You're speaking for everybody. No pressure. Go ahead, Grant.
No pressure. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I would say that it's you know our type of band. If you're asking about Polyrhythmics, is much more of a democratic kind of process. Whereas Steely Dan is two guys, which in a lot of ways can make things a lot easier when it comes to making certain types of decisions and whatnot. Um,
Absolutely.
and then they just hired like every badass in town. Um, so that's like a little different. But yeah, I mean, I feel like the key to longevity is that I mean it's getting along, having a mutual respect for the people that you work with, and you still have to find inspiration in it. You know,
Hmm.
once you're not inspired anymore, then I think it's done, right? Um, and you have to keep getting gigs. You could be like at each other's throats and be like, "Oh man, I'm so pissed off at these guys," and then all of a sudden, manager calls and you got like some amazing gig, and then it's like everyone's happy again. you know?
Classic Buddy Rich style. Keep that off of the stage. I get it.
Right.
I get it, Grant. I get it.
Buddy Rich, nice. Yeah. No, I mean that guy's insane, man. He's a machine. I mean, how he could drum like that and then just like yell at his band members on the bus for like an hour straight afterwards is just amazing. I mean, have you listened to those
I'll take you
tapes?
outside. I'll show you what it's like. Those are great tapes.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Um, are you surprised by what this band has accomplished over the past 16 years, though, Grant? Polyrhythmics.
uh yeah, surprise. I mean, yeah, there's some things that when I think back to it like from where we started, I'm like, man, I didn't think, that necessarily those things were going to happen. But I guess it's more and but at the same time, I'm also like I'm not completely surprised because I feel like a lot of the things that have happened that are good for us, I feel like have came because we've worked really hard. Um, so I feel more it's like it's more of a feeling of gratitude probably, and feeling thankful that I've been able to be part of something, that has been able to do some cool things and have some longevity and last a decent amount of time. Take me to some cool places, met a lot of cool people, you know. Yeah.
I like how you don't talk about the not cool places that you've been to and the other people that you don't like to play with. Again, Patreon. We're really getting into all of it there. Do you feel like the band continues to move and expand and kind of explore what what it wants to bring to the table, even
Totally.
after 16 years of being?
Well, I mean, I can tell you one thing that we're expanding on right now, and that is we're about to put out, in fact, tomorrow. I don't know when we're taping this on Monday, May 4th. Am
I
I
thought
allowed
you
to say
had.
that?
Yeah. No, I thought you would have had it though. I mean, you had the guy from Steely Dan that I couldn't even remember the name of.
Donald Fagen, and Walter Becker. There it is.
But May 4th we didn't have. But
Right.
thank you for clearing that up, Grant.
May the
Yes.
Fourth
Okay.
be with you.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Star Trek. Right on. Uh,
So yeah, so we're recording this on May 4th. Tomorrow, Polyrhythmics releases a new single with a vocalist named Adrian De Leon.
all right.
Um, and we have never really worked with. I guess we put out one single with vocals on it with a musical friend and collaborator of ours named Lucky Brown several years ago, but um, this is the first time that we've really worked with a singer. Um, and we just got back from New Orleans on Sunday. We were doing some Jazz Fest performances with her. Um, so that's kind of like that's definitely the new thing that is much different than anything we've done in the last 16 years.
Definitely
Um,
shaking it up a bit. That's nice.
yeah, and all the managers and people that wear suits that are involved with our band are very happy, because they've they've all been like, well, if you guys got a singer, you could do this, you could do that, I mean, we've been told as an instrumental band, you everyone tells you that for years and years and years that getting a singer would be a good idea. Um, and I think for us, it just wasn't really something that we were that focused on at the time. Um, but yeah, we got hooked up with Adrienne, and she's so awesome. Like she's a killer singer. She she is really easy to work with. Um, Total professional, and yeah, we're really excited to be putting out this music with her. So this is kind of starting, you know, a new chapter for sure with us.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah,
Speaking of new chapters, um, Champagne Bubble Bath is
yeah,
a newer project that you're at the helm of.
yep.
Um, Now, why did you decide to start Champagne Bubble Bath? Technically last year, we'll say
Oh,
2025
when
or
did we
2024,
start?
maybe.
Yeah, yeah, probably when I actually started the process of putting the record together, probably 24.
So like 14 years into being with Polyrhythmics. Why then, or was there a reason why?
Well, to be honest with you, um,
I loved honesty, Grant. Please lay it on me, sir.
I mean, I there's always it's always something that I had been interested in doing, starting my own project, specifically, you know, playing. I had all these tunes that I'd been kind of writing and working on during COVID. And a lot of it was kind of in the more kind of like down tempo, vibey, kind of psych soul hip hop realm. And um, a good friend and big supporter of of the band, of Polyrhythmics, and pretty much any other, like a lot of projects that I'm in. He's a big supporter. His name's Andy Cantor. He urged me to do it, and I'm not sure if it would have happened at least at that point in time without his like pushing me to do it. And he was like, "You need to put out your own record, blah 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 blah. Let me know what I can do to help." And so that's that's how part of it kind of came together. Um, and then I just had to figure out, who I wanted to work with to kind of bring these tunes to life. Because a lot of the tunes on that record, not all of them, but um, a good chunk of them are kind of reimagining these demos that I made just by myself in Logic. And
You worked with Logic on this. Okay, well, interesting. I didn't know that part. We can get into that in a little bit.
yes, the computer program Logic. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he has like those a couple albums out. I know who you're talking about. Right, right, right. I'm with you.
right, totally. I have played with DJ Logic though before. He's great.
See, I
Um,
knew it. That was me pushing you. That was my little nudge into revealing that information,
I
Grant.
know we
We
couldn't
all
have
have
got
our
there.
ways.
Couldn't have got there without you, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, a good portion of those tunes were basically just like these beats that I recorded in my little home studio, and brought them in, and they turned into something different with those guys. For that project, I got Ben Bloom and Jason Gray guitar and bass for Polyrhythmics, and then I got Jimmy James also on guitar, who plays for the True Loves and Parlor Greens. And me and Jimmy used to also play in Delvon Lamar organ trio together. Um, and I recorded on their second record, I Told You So, and toured Europe with them in 2019. But I've also known Jimmy. It's funny, I've actually known Jimmy probably, well, have I known him longer than, yeah, I might have known Jimmy longer than the other two guys, just because Jimmy used to always come to like all the jam sessions back in the day. I don't know. I've known that guy for almost 20 years.
Shout out to Jimmy, and please go back and listen to his episodes after this one.
Yeah,
Amazing, amazing musician.
great guy, great musician, um, an encyclopedia of music, like, um, and yeah. So, sorry, what was the question?
I don't know, but we got onto the Jimmy tangent, and I'm glad that we touched on that. But having having some of your prior band members in this new project, what was that like? Kind of getting them into something different and into this new what was working with them in that capacity like? And of course, adding the great Jimmy James to that equation as well.
It was incredibly easy. It was incredibly easy because what I wanted to do with Champagne Bubble Bath is I wanted to play really really simple music, and I wanted it to be about the space in between. I wanted it to be about what happens, when tasteful rhythmic players, and the reason I chose those guys is because they're like some of the best rhythmic players that I know. Like when it comes to playing rhythm stuff, like, I mean, Ben and Jimmy, we've heard them play lead, and they can play lead stuff really well, but they also love playing rhythm stuff, and they both do it really really well. Um, so like it was like water. It was really really easy putting this stuff together. Um, and like there was a, there's a few tunes on that record that we just came up with in the studio, and they came together really fast. Um, yeah, I mean The only thing is that I would have to do sometimes is just like, you know, it, sometimes if there was like if a tune was kind of going a direction where it was like, oh, let's add this part and add that part, and maybe we'll add a, a bridge here and blah blah blah. My I would be like, no, let's not do that. Like, let's scale it back a second, And that was just because in that moment I had an idea that I really wanted to do something that was more on the minimalist vibe. Um,
You wanted to assert your power. I understand, man. I mean, just getting drunk off it. No, no,
yeah,
but you had a certain way that you wanted these to sound, and you were able to get that with these incredible musicians playing with
yeah.
them.
I wanted it to be all about the groove and beat oriented. I mean, it's like some of those tunes are I don't know if you'd call them songs. they're
Well, you
they're
didn't just there. That's a good that's a good representation of you not calling them songs.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I wanted to keep it real simple, and I wanted it to be about not about I wanted it to be about what happens in the spaces in between.
Mm-hmm.
That was really the goal there. I should also say that I also got Carl Olson on percussion for 3 tracks, which he's an amazing percussionist. Um, Plays like every percussion instrument you can think of. Um, and he did a great job. I played percussion on a few tracks as well, but I think he's featured on 3 tracks. And then I got Joe Doria, um, an amazing Seattle Hammond B3 player, legendary dude, on 1 track. Um, and yeah, it came together really easy with those guys. Um, we've played a couple shows, and the shows have also been like I was wondering how the live show would translate because the record is such kind of a mellow vibe. Um, and yeah, the show was the album release show that we just did in March was really great. Um, and yeah, I'm excited to do some more with those guys. Got to start thinking about the next record. I think that's probably the next thing that we need to start figuring out. Start that process. So
What is it like starting a new project like this? That's not clearly just not just a one-off sort of a thing. Kind of coming off of a 15-year um, uh, relationship with another. What is it kind of
hmm
like existing in both these worlds? A more well-established band and a newer concept.
I mean, it's really exciting. It's
Hmm.
really exciting to start something new, and you know, uh, and it's also like it's more. I would say I know I said this about Polyrhythmics, but this with this thing too. It's really it's all about the recording. You know, um, everyone in that band is also really busy with Jimmy's obviously very busy with True Loves and Parlor Greens. Um, Ben lives on the East Coast now. Actually, he lives in Connecticut. So,
Kind of difficult.
yep. Now I got one member on the East Coast, um, and we're still busy. Me, Ben, and Jason with Polyrhythmics. So, it's gonna be when the stars align and we're able to get together. I think it's gonna be really cool. But again, and it's really about for me. It's about creating that record. You know, and I'm really proud of the record that we made. I think it sounds awesome. Um, I I've been really surprised by um, the response to it. There's been a lot of people that have been digging it, and it's been getting a lot of plays and airplay, and I couldn't be more happy about that. So it's awesome. Feels great.
That is awesome, man. What continues to drive you to make music? What is it that still propels you to keep on expanding and reaching out and making new stuff with polyrhythmics and making champagne bubble baths music and just generally jamming with people and practicing? What is that? What is that catalyst?
Um, I don't know, man. It's just something that doesn't go like the music bug is something that is not I can tell it's not going to go away with me. It's something that I think about every day. I'm thinking about, you know, new new tunes every day. I'm thinking about music all the time. Um, Even if I wanted to stop, it'd be really hard to I think that's another reason why I even made the decision a while ago to like really pursue music full time, because I felt like I just couldn't fight it anymore. Like, I was like, well, I just I can't not do this, like I need to, like, this is something that I'm obsessed with, and if I'm going to be true to myself, I need to do it. And that inspiration has not left me. Um so I guess I mean, why I have that, I'm not really sure. I, I'm not, I don't really know where that comes from necessarily. Um, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited about the new thing, whatever it is. Um, like I said, I love making records. I'm really excited, to be putting out this new this new batch of recordings with Adrian. I'm really excited about the next Champagne Bubble Bath record. You know, I'm I'm I wish I had a better answer for you, man. I'm really
That's a good.
sorry.
That's your answer, Grant. This is your episode, man. You are steering this, dude. I'm here all the time. I only get you once, so hey, we're doing it. And I cannot thank you enough for coming on here, Grant. Seriously, thank you very very much for
Yeah,
being here
absolutely. Yeah,
and
thanks for having
chatting
me.
with me. Yeah. But before I let you go, we got some promo here because you got a lot of stuff in the fire that we kind of hinted to right there. But just
Hmm.
to reiterate. Polyrhythmics music is streaming everywhere where people get their music. That's where they could find you, right?
Yep.
Spanning all over. Um, and the merch alongside the vinyl can be found at hellomerch.com. That's the best place, right?
Yeah, I think you could also just go to polyrhythmics.com, and that would
Polyrhythmics.com
probably
as well.
direct you to the best place to get merch for
Okay.
Polyrhythmics.
Uh, and whatever the best URL is will be linked below whatever you're listening to this on. So go ahead and just scroll down and you'll find it there. And everyone can stay up to date with news and shows and releases and all this good stuff by following the band on Instagram, right? That's the best place.
Uh, yeah, following the band on Instagram is great.
At Polyrhythmics on Instagram, just all one word.
Polyrhythmics on Instagram. Yep, Polyrhythmics all one word, and champagne dot bubble bath on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And our
And
Bandcamp page also. If you're looking to pick up the Champagne Bubble Bath record, bandcamp.com/ or
you took the words right out of my mouth, Grant. I have it right here.
you have it.
Champagnebubblebath.bandcamp.com. That's where you could go and get volume one.
Nailed it.
The mixtape volume one. And I'm assuming I'm not trying to jump the gun or nothing here, but maybe a volume two is in the works, perhaps.
Well, when you name it Volume One, you really don't have much choice, right?
Champagne Bubble Bass music is also streaming everywhere. I don't know if I already said that, but we need to let the people know that that's where they
Yeah,
could. You're everywhere.
it's
People
streaming
can't
everywhere.
people can't not go anywhere without finding you there. You're a busy
Yeah,
man, Grant.
it's there. I'm
Um,
here.
you're there, you're here, you're
I'm here. I'm
everywhere.
there. I'm everywhere.
And I appreciate you being here with me today. And one more time with the name of the single that's going to be out. It'll be released by the time this is out.
Yep, it's called "Got to Be for Something," and that is Polyrhythmics featuring Adrian De Leon.
So go check that out because
Yeah.
it's out. It's hot off the presses. I heard that we're up to 2 million streams on Spotify as of right now.
Oh, for that for the tune that comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, for the tune that comes out tomorrow.
It's
Yeah,
probably higher now.
probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm probably lowballing it, and I don't mean to offend you. Um, Grant, thank you so much. Did we miss anything?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate you coming on here, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Good to be
Um,
here.
I appreciate you just getting one more lie in there right at the end, right under the line. Grant, you're the man. I'm gonna stop recording this and I'll talk to you in a minute, all right?
Okie doke.
All right.